we recently updated the app wheel, and what I want to do today is just show you that update, point out a couple of new features, and also give you a quick demo of a couple of apps which are new to the new to the app wheel this time round. The chat window is disabled in this presentation at the minute, just because of the volume of you that are in the room here. So if you've got any questions, please do get in touch either via email or my Twitter handle, which is on there. But you can give some non-verbal feedback as the presentation goes along. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see that there's a little person icon next to the hands up icon. You can click on that and it will give you a selection of emoticons that you can use to give your feedback as the presentation goes along. And if you can't see anything on the screen at any point, there's a little zoom in button on the left hand side at the left hand side of the screen that you can use independently of anyone else. So the app wheel itself has had a recent update, as I said, and one of the bits of feedback that we got from folk was that it's really difficult, particularly if you've got a printed copy, to work out which apps are free and which are paid. So the latest edition of the app wheel, the free apps have got an asterisk on them to make it a wee bit easier for folk to work out which apps are free and which apps are paid. So that's hopefully you able to see here. That's fine. So to get a copy of the wheel, you just go to Safari and then on the Call Scotland website on the downloads page there, and I'm going to scroll down to the app wheel. There's just a wee bit of a delay with the reflector tool. And there we have it, the iPad apps for learners with complex additional support needs. So if I tap on it when I'm on the iPad, I can download a copy and I can just tap on the download button to do that. That's just opening on the page there and scrolling down and then just tapping on that red download button that you can see. So this is the wheel. And it's divided into various categories. It's absolutely not exhaustive at all in terms of the categories. It's things that we thought would be helpful for supporting and developing skills for learners who have got complex needs. I want to very quickly show you a couple of apps that are new to the wheel this time round. The first one that we're going to look at is just in this communication section at the bottom of the screen. I'm going to zoom in. You can see that there are two wedges to the communication section. There is the early interaction section, which has got some really nice apps that will respond to vocalizations and noises in the environment. And this section on the left-hand side has some apps which are simple communication apps. Sounding board is in there. That's one that we use a lot at Call. We use it for various different projects. But the one that we're going to focus on today is an app called SmoothTalker. And it's just this one here. Now, you'll see that it's an asterisk. It's an asterisk with a caveat. So an asterisk means that it is free, and it's free at the moment. Praetorian Technology, who are the company who make the app, changed the price of the app right at the start of the COVID lockdown shift to key worker hubs for children and home learning in order to make sure that learners had access to a communication app if they needed one whilst they were primarily at home. The app is usually $12.99. It's free at the moment, and it's going to be free until around August the 1st. So you would be able to get a copy for free up until that point, and then it will revert back to its paid price. So let's have a wee look at the app itself. Some of you might actually have SmoothTalker devices in your classroom. They're really sort of simple single and multi-message devices, and you can record one message or a series of messages. And the SmoothTalker app is basically a kind of all singing, all dancing digital version of that. You can do loads with it, so I'm not even going to try and you a complete overview of all the things that the app does today. But just to say, it's a really useful tool if you want to have an app which will play back simple messages that you've recorded. You can play back one, or you can play back a series of the messages. There are various different playback options, and this is one of the things that makes this a really nice app. If I tap on the settings cog, which is blue at the top right hand side there, this is where I can see all the playback options. So when you open the app for the first time, sequential is the default one. So that means if I recorded several messages, they would all play back one after the other. Or if I just had one message, that one message would just keep playing back every time I pressed the red button on that main screen. So for example, I could record a message to say turn the page if I was going to be doing a shared reading activity with a learner and I wanted to put them in charge of saying when it was time we'd finished on that page and it was time to go on to the next one. I could record, turn the page, have it on sequential, and every time I played it, every time I played the button, it would read that message aloud. But you can also record sequences of messages, which is quite useful. So we could still keep it on this sequential setting in the playback mode, and we might have the steps in a recipe or a set of instructions. So one press would play the first message, the second press would play the second message, etc., etc. The random mode that's there, I saw a really nice example of how you might use that. Actually on a Tutorium Facebook page just last week there, someone had shared what they were doing with an actual SmoothTalker device, but you could quite easily do it on this iPad version of the app as well. They turned the SmoothTalker into a dice by recording 6 messages. So if I go to the eye icon on the top left hand side, this is where we record our messages. And you can see here, if I tap to add a new message, I could record my first message here. So if I was wanting to make my SmoothTalker into a dice, I could tap to record me saying the number 1 on the red here. So if I do that now, I'm going to tap 1. So I've recorded 1. I can see it's 3 seconds long in the message length. If I tap to play it back to hear it, 1. So that's my first message. I would then go on to record my other messages, 2, etc., etc., all the way up to 6. I would tap done, go back to playback, and I would choose random. So that way, whenever somebody taps on the button, we get a number read aloud. So it basically becomes an interactive dice. So great for playing board games, things like Snakes and Ladders and Monopoly and that kind of thing. So that's one of the playback modes. Another one which I just wanted to highlight was this choice playback mode. This allows you to have 2 options on the screen at the same time. So now you'll see that there are 2 buttons selected. But one of the helpful features is that if I go back into the eye, into the messages there, and we look at message appearance, which is down toward the bottom of the screen, you'll see that we can choose a photograph to go in instead of the button. So for example, if we wanted to have some food items, if it was a kind of a snack type time, I can add a photograph of an orange for this one, and we're going to ignore the fact it says 1 on the message at the minute, and I can go in and choose a photograph for this one as well. And you'll see that now, when we go back to the main screen, we've got 2 photographs of our options, which is a really nice feature. So you could use it for very, very simple choosing type activities. Do you want this one or this one? What do you want? That sort of thing. So that's that's the SmoothTalker app. There's loads more that it does, but that's just a few quick ideas because I'm conscious we've only got a couple of minutes left. Another app I just wanted to kind of highlight to you is this Little Digits app here, which is just on the screen, and I'm going to open it up and some music is going to play. So this is an app which is really brilliant for finger counting and for one-to-one correspondence. It uses the multi-touch on the iPad, so it's basically looking for your fingers on the screen at any point. It's saying 0 and it's showing 0 because there is nothing touching it. But as soon as I put 3 fingers on the screen,
3.
Now there's a bit of a delay in this reflector tool that I'm using, but it will come up and show you 3 on the screen there.
0.
When I take my hand off.
3.
Yeah, it's just slightly frozen, so I'm going to take it back to the home page. Yeah, you can just see it now. That is quite a long delay, but I promise you it's completely instant in real life if you were just using it on the iPad. So one of the nice things about the Little Digits app as well is that you can have English language, but you can also record so that it's your own voice that's speaking the numbers in the app. So for example, it could be a staff member's voice, it could be a learner's voice, it could be absolutely anyone recording so you can hear what it's saying as you go along. So Little Digits is a super app, really useful. It's $2.99 and I've got a slide that shows you the price for it there. I'm just going to very quickly stop sharing this screen with you and just share a screen so you can see my contact details if you want to get in touch about any of the apps that we've mentioned. We've just because of technical difficulties, we've sort of slightly run out of time to look at the final app that I wanted to show you, which was a free app, which is new to the app wheel this year called Ida Play Toby, and it's a super app for learners who have got visual impairments, really high contrast, simple screen with audio and visual rewards. It's a cause and effect app, so it's a really nice scaffolding tool, and you can turn various different features on and off. If you do have any questions about any of the apps that we've mentioned or about the wheel in general, or suggestions of apps for future wheel updates, please do get in touch. And if you want a copy of this presentation that's got a link to those 3 apps that we mentioned, that's the link there on the screen that you can see. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen just now and hand back over to Robert. Thanks very much.